Hi, guys, and welcome to Monday Night Domains. We've got a really great show for y'all here today. There's a lot going on in the world. We want to talk about the ICANN conference, the new Web3 or the new Freename bot. We got a lot to talk about. So excited to have you guys join us. We're going to give it a few minutes for some others to hop on here. Normally takes about 5 minutes. 10. We're waiting on Page as well. So, for those of y'all that don't know, my name is Julie. I am Page Howe's daughter. I've been in domaining for about a little over a year now, but I guess I've really been in it my whole life. My dad's been doing it since early 2000s, like before the last ICANN release of some TLDs. So, I guess it's in my blood, which is exciting. Before we talk about domains, there's lots of other stuff going on in the world today. Daylight Savings Monday, so I imagine our viewers are going to be a little low as we're all kind of adjusting to the change. I was not thrilled to wake up this morning. I don't know what it was. Like yesterday, I woke up at like 10, which is really late for a Sunday. But even last night, I was trying to get to bed, and I couldn't get to bed till like after midnight, and then I just kept waking up. So, can I really blame that on daylight savings time? Not really, but I'm going to. Here's Paige we got in right now. Hey, Dad, how you doing?
Hey, Julie, I'm doing great today. What a busy, good day.
Yeah, let's hear about it. We're just talking about daylight savings time, so.
Well, first of all, who knows if we're going to have our regular audience here tonight?
Why is that?
Because we are on daylight savings time, but Europe is not on daylight savings time. So for the next 3 weeks, Europe is going to stay on their old time, and we're going to go on a new time. And I don't know if that means that they're going to be here an hour from now or if they're going to be here an hour after we get started. So if you're seeing this because you're watching the recording, just know that we just finished the show, or you wondered where the show was and you're watching the recording, but we're going to make it seem like you were here with us.
We believe you were here with us. We can read your mind and answer your questions from reading your mind and the questions you haven't asked yet. Because time travel. Because daylight savings is time travel.
But we will be talking about time tonight.
Oh.
A teaser.
A little teaser.
And we'll be talking, I'll give you the whole teaser. We'll be talking about how digital assets are not slaves to time like you are in the real world, the stock market.
In terms of depreciation or in terms of
the stock market trades from 9:30 a.m. Eastern to 4 o'clock Eastern. And it's true that you can trade stocks the rest of the time, but it's kind of like a light version. It's kind of like the drive-through window. You know what I mean? The bank isn't open, but you're at the drive-through window. So if you wanted to buy a house, you would need to get a mortgage. Well, you probably have to deal with your mortgage company during business hours. And there was probably the biggest proponent for the biggest digital currency, Bitcoin, was on TV today. And he talked about if you're in Africa and you need to buy a house on Saturday, you're going to pay in Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Because most digital assets exist 24/7, 365. They're always ready to be transferred and valued. Domain names work 24/7, 365. I tell people when I sell them a domain name, I said, you've just grabbed one of the most valuable employees your company's ever going to have. It works 24/7, 365. It never gets sick. It never wants a raise. It never takes vacations, and it can't run off to your competitors. So, some of these digital assets can be pretty.
As long as you pay it yearly.
As long as you pay it yearly, right? So that's all you have to do, and that price could go up a little bit. Like .com can go up like $1 a year. Other companies could make their prices go up more. Great thing about Freename, our sponsor for our show tonight, and Freename is a technology company that powers 2 or 3 different other companies. But one of the things they do is they offer what's called Web3 or blockchain domains. And those you pay one time and you don't have renewals. So once you buy it, once you own it, you own it. Your name is yours in your account. Once you mint it on the blockchain, meaning you're inscribing it into the code of the blockchain, that your wallet owns this domain name, and anyone who can access the blockchain can look up the hash or the actual transaction where you bought the domain name that you minted in Web3. Which brings the questions, Julie.
Wait, okay. I have a question after your spiel.
No, your question is, you were going to ask, I know you were thinking this, what's a wallet?
I have a question. Paige,
Yes.
Julie,
yes,
pick
Julie.
Julie. What's a wallet?
So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Hey, everybody who's out there. So this may be repetitive for those of you who don't know it, but for those of you who are viewing our live stream here on Facebook and LinkedIn and X, I'm going to try to describe to Julie what a wallet is, and maybe you'll pick up something along the way. So anyway.
I'm going to write down my question, because my question, in terms of complexity, comes after learning what a wallet is.
Gotcha.
And that way I can ask it later. It's about gas trends.
Okay.
And because it really had to do with the business day and time. And so I'm going to write down my question.
Gotcha.
And if you answer it, you'll get 5 points, because you can see
we had an amazing magician come to our conference this year for the Internet Commerce Association, which is kind of it's a group that protects the rights of domain name investors. And they had a mind reader. I don't think they call them magicians anymore. We had another title for him, but he did some amazing stuff where he would have you write down on the paper your third grade teacher's best friend's cat. And then 2 hours later, he would have somebody hold up something in their back pocket that was the name of that cat or something like that. And it was.
No, I've seen this one, since we are still waiting for some viewers to come in, so I'm allowed to get off topic a little bit. So I don't know if you guys are NFL fans, but I'm a big NFL fan, and my main team is the Titans, but I've adopted the Bengals since I'm living in Cincinnati, And so I saw a video of a magician that came to the Bengals locker room, and he had Joe Burrow write down, who are you passing it to? He'd write a wide receiver, whatever, he'd throw it. And then the last one, and the magician would, he'd write it down. The magician would say, okay, this is who I think you're passing to, and would guess it, right? And the last one, he said, okay, Joe, write, game's on the line, who are you passing it to here? And he writes, that's what happened. The magician wrote down on an expo board, fakes to Jamar, passes it to T, or something like that. And that is exactly what Joe Burrow did. And then he turns it around. He's like, he even had him guessing. I don't think it was Joe Burrow's, because Joe's he's not the most outgoing guy, but he was guessing first kisses and all this stuff going on. And I was like, oh my gosh.
And for some people, financial stuff can seem like that. It can seem like magic. How do you own a stock? How do you buy shares of a company? How do you buy cryptocurrency? What makes it go up? It can be, seem like it's magic. And then as you unpack it and you break it down, you realize that usually it's A to B to C to D to E. And then you get this, okay, I see.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. We're going to talk about digital assets. Digital assets are popular right now. And I'll give you a couple examples just today. In the domain name industry, one of the biggest brokers we have at Hilco Digital announced the sale of gold.com. And we don't know what the price was, but I'm guessing anywhere from $10 to $30 million. And
yeah, that's
and we're talking about and maybe even higher. I mean, I don't want to limit it, you know what I mean, to that. But Andrew Miller, and he runs the domain arm of Hilco Digital. He was involved with the sale. Used to be owned by Sterling Jewelers, and now it's owned by a company that sells gold bullion. Andrew's done some of the biggest domain sales in history. And the idea of a 5 or a 10 or a 20 or something like that is no surprise to him. I've lost my my window here. Oh, bummer. All right. Well, we'll see how that works. Oh, here we go. Okay. So anyway.
What happened?
Oh, I went to look. So that's sold today. So in this case, you have a digital asset, a domain name, which you cannot physically hold. You cannot have a domain name and put it in your little smartphone case. Put it right there. I got my domain name right here. I own this domain name because I have it, right? A digital asset exists online, which means it can be used in digital systems. I can't be used in a digital system. I can't plug my hand into the electronic thing. I can't plug my hand into my Ethernet cable and make myself digital. You know what I mean? So I can't be, as a human, as a physical specimen, you can't get that into the digital world. And a digital asset, like in this case, a domain name, which I'm going to call a hybrid asset, can't be owned physically. You know what I mean? But then how do you keep track of who owns it? And I had an early boss of mine tell me when it came to assets, he said, owning it is these two things. Do you control where the money goes, you know, from owning it? And do you control who gets it later when you pass away? And that represents ownership. So in a digital asset, like a domain name, you own it by having an account at a registrar like GoDaddy, who has a relationship with the registry manager, who has a relationship with the company called ICANN, who the U.S. government, who invented the internet, turned the reins over for the naming system. And that's what gives you the credibility to say, I own gold.com. And if someone pays you millions of dollars for it, you change that digital asset from being in your account into being in their account. That's all you do.
Question.
Yes.
What are some other digital assets, not that aren't necessarily domain related? Are there other digital assets just to prove they're like that digital assets are valuable and are common and have already worked?
Yeah, I think cryptocurrency is one that we're going to get to. NFTs is one that we're going to get to. But predating that, you may have had things like credit card points. That may have been one of the first.
Hey, that's a good example. Yeah.
Yeah, you like that one, huh? Hey, Dad's got a little smarts. Okay. So that may be an example of something where now you could use your points to get a credit card sent to you with so much money on it, and then you could physically use that to pay. But the concept of you having digital points or reward points, like you have, I'm sure your wallet's filled with your reward points for Starbucks points would be a digital asset.
I got a lot of those.
You got a lot of those? Yeah. So those would be examples.
Being of value because we say it's of value.
Right. And those, who owns those is kept by Starbucks. And American Airlines keeps track of how many American Airlines points you have. And your credit card keeps track of your things. And they keep track of them, and that's called a centralized ledger. So I'm going to introduce some new words to everyone tonight. Centralized ledger, meaning it's controlled by them. They set the rules. They can change the terms. They can mess up. The bad news about a centralized ledger is they control it. They can change it. The good news is sometimes if there's a mistake, you can call or contact the owner of the centralized ledger and say, hey, there's been a mistake. I thought I got these points, but I made this flight. They didn't give them to me. Can you give them to me? And they say, yeah, we researched this. Here's your receipt. Got it. And you get it. Same with the domain name, because it's a decentralized system and that lots of different people own the domain names. Lots of different registrars sell them. But if you have a problem, contact the registrar, say, I have a problem with domain name, and you can get it fixed. So I call it a hybrid system.
Okay.
Now, cryptocurrency came about when people said, I don't want to be in a currency that someone owns, even the U.S. government or any government. They can decide how much of that currency to print. They can decide if they want to print lots or not lots. So a lot of your cryptocurrency maxis, maximalist, will say the
Oh,
benefit of a cryptocurrency is there's rules set down at the beginning, and then it's like they broke the rule book and said these rules can never be changed. And with Bitcoin, the reason it's running, it ran to an all-time high, not an all-time high. Check me on that. Someone listening, tell me if it's an all-time high or just a recent high of $72,700 for
ooh,
one of what's called a Bitcoin.
I
And
should
when
check
I
my
first found out about
investment.
Bitcoin, it was $130, Julie. So if I
Wow,
would have spent $130 in 2016 and never sold it, that would have been so hard to
that
not
would have
sell
been
it
really
at
hard.
5,000, to not sell it at 10,000, to not sell it at 20,000, to not sell it when my daughter said, "Dad, can I have a car for your Bitcoin?" You know what I mean? But the people who have held it, they've been right. And the key to
Good.
Bitcoin is there's only a certain amount. I think it's 21 million. Not sure, but
See, I heard what
right.
really got me on board with Bitcoin was I was chatting with a guy at the domain conference in Vegas, and he was talking to me about the algorithm of Bitcoin and how it's the algorithm of how Bitcoin is mined is decreasing over time. Because in my mind, it's like, okay, this is a digital asset. There's absolutely no limit to how much there is out there. But that's incorrect because the algorithm that the whole Bitcoin system is working on is saying as time goes on, this gets more rare, which
Yep.
I think is really, really important because I think that's a hard thing for people to do when you have a digital asset that in theory can be infinite. It's
Right.
hard to set a limit on that, but you have to because, as you said back in show one, for something to be valuable, it's got to be somewhat rare.
Yeah, and it's a real paradox because if you say the same thing to a cryptocurrency maximalist that you say to an old school person, they'll take it completely different ways. You could
Yeah.
say no one owns Bitcoin, and half the room applauds, and half the room goes, "Well, then who do I go to if I make a mistake or someone steals my Bitcoin?" And the answer is nobody. You know what I mean? Now, it's still against the law to steal Bitcoin. And if you think you know who stole your Bitcoin, or you can find out who stole your Bitcoin, you can go after him. But you can't go to the owner of Bitcoin and say, "Hey, I know a guy. He got me in touch with the owner and they fixed it." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Funny
There's
though,
no help center.
I actually read a spy novel where the only way the guy could solve the missing persons case to solve and stop the world from ending, one of those James Bond, the bad guy's going to, blow up the world,
Oh, yeah.
was to find the creator of Bitcoin to find out who sent this one Bitcoin to another. That's another story. All right. So big news today. Bitcoin at an all-time high.
Woo!
It's a cryptocurrency that's trading for 72,000 per each Bitcoin. Each Bitcoin is made up of almost a million little tiny mini Bitcoins called Satoshis. And so you don't have to have 72,000 to buy Bitcoin. You can buy $10 in Bitcoin.
Right.
You will simply get 1/72,000th times 10, 10 divided by 72,000, whatever that decimal is, that's how much Bitcoin you have. Or if you spend $20 or $100. There's a phrase in cryptocurrency, DYOR, do your own research. I'm not giving you advice to buy Bitcoin. I'm not saying sell all your Bitcoin. I'm trying to illuminate the concept of digital assets because there's something going on here. There's something going on here, and you should be aware of it, at least to say I didn't do it. Well, we got a maximalist 120,000 is real for BTC, and that there's some reasons behind it. So what happened today was a couple things. It went 72,000. The biggest bull on it, his name is Michael Saylor. He actually just borrowed $1 billion to buy more Bitcoin for his company. So he took out a loan to buy more Bitcoin. He bought $1 billion worth.
That's going all in.
And he's been all in from the whole start. Second thing is one of the presumptive presidential candidates here in the U.S., Donald Trump, was on CNBC this morning. And they asked him about Bitcoin. And he was kind of negative about it because he's a US dollar. He's always said, I'm a fan of the US dollar. I want the US dollar to be strong. That makes US jobs strong. But he said he just sold a bunch of golden sneakers. And the last one went for like $300,000, and the person paid in Bitcoin. And a lot of the people that bought it, they paid in Bitcoin. So he made an interesting comment with the chairman of the SEC while he was president, was on the show also. And he said, it doesn't seem like we can take it away. And that's just an interesting comment for those. There's a lot of bankers, and I was of the opinion for a long time that it used to be illegal to have a currency. It's in the Constitution that you cannot have any other currency than the US dollar in the United States. But I'm going to give you some breaking news. So Michael Saylor, who's the CEO of MicroStrategy, which is the company that borrowed $1 billion, made a really interesting comment. He says he's going to stop calling Bitcoin a cryptocurrency. What he means by that is most people that are buying it aren't buying it so they can go to McDonald's and use their Bitcoin. That was the original intent. People, there's a guy out there who's paid, like, really early on, he paid like 500 Bitcoin for a pizza. You know what I mean? Because someone would take a credit card linked to Bitcoin. And so that pizza right now is a $35 million pizza.
Oh my gosh.
Like he would have kept that Bitcoin. So,
yeah.
But that was the idea, was that you could use it to do transactions really fast, because all you had to do is say, does Julie have the Bitcoin? Yes. She can give me 10 Bitcoin. Yep. Boom. Done. I give her the stuff. And we can do it right away, you know. But what Michael Saylor said today was that he's going to start calling Bitcoin a digital property. And the reason is because property is not soon to be declared illegal. You know, you can't own a house. You can't own your car. Those are things that are property. And you don't use your car to go buy a hamburger. You don't use your car to go buy a house. Or you don't use your house to go buy a hamburger. You don't say, hey, I'll give you 1/1000th of my house for that hamburger. You know what I mean? And that's what kind of Bitcoin's in this thing of, where if it's a currency, then a lot of people think it's a Ponzi scheme, and it still could be. It could all disappear tomorrow. You need to have electricity to have Bitcoin. You need to have electricity to keep track of who owns Bitcoin. You know, there's some climate change things that I think people should really look at. We look at climate change a lot, and the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency eats up a lot of electricity. So don't hate me, crypto maxis, because I bring it up. I think they should have an answer. But the idea is there's only 21 million of them. And a lot of people are now understanding that the more money the governments around the world print, then they're just putting more money out there. And we've seen what that happens with inflation, makes everything more expensive. So if you think about it, the main case for Bitcoin is that there's only 21 million. That's all there'll ever be. And the more people that want it, they won't make any more to match the demand. If you want to get a new car from Chevy, a new F-150 truck, they can make a lot of them to match the demand. You want to get a new shirt, a new fashion. Some stuff is rare, they can't make anymore. Some real estate is rare, they can't make anymore. It goes up. Art, in your world, Julie, specific art pieces can go 10, 20, 30, 100 million, you know, because Van Gogh's not coming back to make that art again, you know. But so Bitcoin, the idea is every person who buys it and says, I'm never going to sell it, that's one less Bitcoin for the new person to buy. So for them to buy it, the price has to go up.
So what is stopping there from being more Bitcoin in the world? Because it is a digital. Is it just someone signed a contract and promised to never do it again? Because I feel like that can easily get overturned. So how are we holding to this algorithm?
Because no one knows who invented it.
I bet he's in witness protection program.
So they wrote the code, said it could never be changed, and kept themselves anonymous. So there's no like pretty please, pretty please, can you change it? Can you really change it? I know you said you weren't going to change it, but come on.
But what if he decides to change it? Like if he's anonymous, he's not really accountable.
No one knows if he built in a back door, if he told somebody about a back door. It's funny, there's a lawsuit right now for someone who claimed that he was the inventor of Bitcoin. and someone said he wasn't, so he's telling the people, prove I'm not. I'm not saying I am, but you can't prove I'm not. And it's a court case. I mean, there's depositions happening each day from early on. Like, I got this message from the creator. And remember, every transaction of Bitcoin, since it started, you can go look up. You can go look up who got the first Bitcoin. What did they do with it? They sent it to this person. They sent it to this person. So it's really interesting. But the idea of a digital asset, now, let's go back to what we first started talking about. How do you know you own something? You can't hold a Bitcoin.
Right.
I said, Julie, where's your Bitcoin?
I don't have one. I can't tell you.
And then you say, well, it's on the blockchain. Well, who does the blockchain owns it? And this is where we get into this concept that I wanted to talk about tonight, which is, what is a wallet? And just like you keep your money in a wallet or purse, and I think we're going to see more words like wallet and purse and holder and container come about. But basically, a wallet is, in many cases, I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Can I share my screen?
Yes. However, my view right now is frozen, so I don't know if I can tell you when it's successful. So you may have to wait for someone in the comments to say we have a successful screen sharing event.
All right.
Unfortunately, I don't know. For those of y'all who care, I spilled water on my computer, so we're dealing with the B laptop today, which isn't the quickest thing in the world. So we're having a little bit of freezing on my end. So
gotcha. So I'm going to talk about Bitcoin, and here's the Freename site.
I can't see it.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So we're going to talk about the Freename site, because the thing to remember about this world of Web3 is that it's mostly decentralized, meaning you know you own your cryptocurrency, and the way you know you own it is in your wallet. And the only way other people are going to know you own it is to look in your wallet. They just won't trust you. You just can't say, Julie, trust me. I've got a Bitcoin sitting right here. I can see it. I'm going to send it to you. And what we used to use, the mail, you know what I mean? I'm going to write you a check. You know what I mean? It's like, no. Everything that happens with Bitcoin is what's called atomic. I send it to you, and from the moment I send it to you, you have it, and I don't, and I can't get it back. And if I'm buying an asset with it that's also digital, then if you buy it from a marketplace, I buy the asset with it, it comes back to me. So one of the things you do when you're dealing in Web3 is you deal what's called dApps, D-A-P-P-S. And those dApps, they know how to talk to wallets. This is really basic for a lot of you, but so what I'm going to do, I'm on Freename right now, and I'm going to open up my wallet. And in this case, it's on the Chrome extension, and it's built into Chrome. So you have to download it. You have to first say, hey, I want to add my MetaMask wallet extension to Chrome. You know what I mean? And that's a download. And the reason that's important is, Julie, would you say in general, are you used to downloading stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, apps, dApps. Someone says, get this great thing. They say, download this. You go to the Play Store. You figure it's in the Play Store. It's in the App Store. You figure, hey, no problem. I'm going to do it, you know.
Yeah, it's really not that hard.
And that's one of the things that I talk about when I talk about Freename. We don't have, in the Freename domain names that I own, they don't work on the whole internet in terms of the way most computers come out of the box. You have to download a little plugin to get them. But I think we're entering a world of lots and lots of plugins.
Yeah.
Your wallet. So in this case, all I've done is I've downloaded this wallet that's attached to my Chrome, attached to my computer, and this tells me that I own 0.67 Ethereum, which is another cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. So your question was, what's to stop someone from adding more Bitcoin? Not much. Other people have created other cryptocurrencies, and they say, hey, we're just like Bitcoin. We're even like a child of Bitcoin. You know, we took Bitcoin and then we started and we went off like a tree grows a new branch. You know what I mean? And so those are out there. But Bitcoin seems to be the most well-respected, the one everyone knows about, and that's why it's going up the fastest. So now I have this wallet, and this wallet says that I own this Ethereum. And so I own a 0.77, and it says that this is confirmed, and this is confirmed, and you can't really see this, but it has something down here called a hash. Let's see. Status view on Block Explorer. And this actually shows that I got this on February 10th, or this shows the last thing I did is I bought the domain name cindy.eth in my wallet. So that's a Web3 domain name. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in the real world. And the way I tell people that I own it is in my wallet. And everything I've ever done in my wallet has this transaction hash number. See what I mean? And that's one of these long numbers that people say, wow, if I ever had to give that out to somebody, I couldn't do it. And that's where a lot of use cases for Web3 domains are coming in. They're saying, well, why don't you just have a domain name that represents that long number or that represents the account? But this is basically how I keep track of everything, and I can see the history of everything in my wallet. The other thing I can do is I can own things like NFTs. And so let's see, I'm gonna make this full screen. View on Explorer. Okay, here's another way to see your wallet. A lot of people may not know this, but you can either see your wallet as an extension, or you can actually go to, let's see.
I have mine as an app.
I thought this was going to show me. Okay, this is showing me everything I did. Let's see. I thought it was going to show me all the stuff I owned. NFTs. This is giving me all the ones on the thing. All right. Sorry, I thought I was going to show you something neat, Julie, but I couldn't. So I'm going to go back and show you my wallet. So this has all the different domain names that I own on the Ethereum name service. It has all the different domain names I own on the other service. It shows the different tokens I own. There's other types of cryptocurrencies. And I keep all these on my wallet. And then when I'm in my Freename account, I go ahead and I have a regular account like you have at a lot of websites, that's kind of like your Web 2 account. And this tells me what I own. So it has the list of all the TLDs that I own. And some of these are minted and some of these aren't. Like right now, Metaverse 7, I know that I've paid Freename for this top level domain name, .metaverse 7. So I want to create a metaverse called Metaverse 7. And I actually own metaverse7.com. So again, the Web3 domains don't work in the real world. So I've got Metaverse 7 to advertise my new metaverse.
Right.
Come to Metaverse.7. And as soon as you come, I say I can describe it for everyone to see. And then I can say, download this Freename extension so that you can see Metaverse 7.
Like we were talking about last week, it's all about the perfect combination.
And because you have to market something first, asking people to download the little plugin isn't that much. Because what I'm offering people is that they can buy their own domain name in Metaverse 7, and then they can send people to their website, get them to download the plugin, and they can see their world. But what I would do here is if I own Metaverse 7, Freename knows I own it, but the blockchain doesn't know I own it yet. So I go to Polygon, which is a blockchain that has less expensive gas. Gas is how much you pay for each transaction. It's kind of like sales tax, but it's sales tax that can go up and down in price every day. So imagine if a group of people could control or try to control how much sales tax was every day. And there was only so much transactions that can be done. That's called mining cryptocurrency. So if you want to buy something really bad, they're like, oh, the sales tax is 100%. And you're like, I don't care. What I'm buying is worth it. And so that's why the gas can go up and down. But in this case, I'm going to mint my TLD to the Polygon blockchain. It's got it here, and I'm going to confirm mint. So it's been requested, and then I'll get in a few minutes, it'll say that I've done it. So now that I've done this, I've minted my top level domain, and I could do the same thing with the domain on the blockchain. And now any DApp or any solution or any website or any Freename or any DNS that searches the Polygon blockchain to see who owns .metaverse7 will get my wallet address. And if I go anywhere on the internet and I connect my wallet and they say, well, the only person that can do this change is the owner of Metaverse 7. Once I connect my wallet to any DApp, it'll know that I'm the owner. And they won't have to ask anybody. It's decentralized. I know I'm the owner, and every DApp out there that looks on the blockchain knows I'm the owner. And there's no central authority doing it. So this is the long answer to what's centralized authority. There really isn't a single authority, but people trust the decentralized fact that no one owns it. Computers keep track of it. Everyone can see it. And that's why instead of Google or Facebook, as much as we're on Facebook now, we like Facebook because we're on their platform, we don't want them to control our stuff. We want to control our stuff. And Web3 and in your wallet is one way that you can control your digital assets. You can control who knows that you own them, who knows that you can confirm know them. And then that's kind of what is a wallet. So how did I do? What questions do you have?
Okay, so this is the question I had at the very beginning of the show. I was going to ask it because we were chatting about time in the business day and how kind of the joy of digital assets is they don't have to follow the average.
Keep talking. Yep.
Okay, how they don't have to follow the average business day rules, right? And so I wanted to ask, is there a trend between the business day and the gas fees you're seeing? So are you seeing higher gas prices during the American 9 to 5 or the year? I don't know which country is primarily on Web3. But so if I were to stay up until 2 a.m., would I probably see a better gas fee?
Yes.
Yeah, because you're having less people.
And what I did that most recently was I was actually buying some .ethereum domain names on Christmas.
Ooh. Oh, I remember because I was there.
Yeah, with the idea that a lot of people might be doing other things. People might not be launching a lot of projects. So maybe gas would be less, and it was. And there's a lot of websites that will tell you how much gas is right now. Or you can see a chart of whether it does go up or down, and you can pick a time. The only thing that would run counter to that is if someone was launching a really big project, or there was some other demand for gas that would happen, around the world. But yes, in general, it does seem like you can pick times of the day to pay less gas. And whenever you do a transaction on the blockchain, usually you get an estimate of the gas beforehand.
Right.
You won't be totally blown away. Like right now, gas is probably $11 to $15 on this main blockchain called Ethereum. But there's a lot of substitute ones that almost have no gas. And a lot of what Freename is working on are ways to make your Web 2 domain names Web 3 and do it with less gas than the mainnet. So that every time you change your website or you change your settings, you don't have to pay $20 every time you do it. You know what I mean? That would be a bummer. Even though you'd be decentralized, that would be a bummer. And so you were going to ask me about that. What is Freename doing with Web 2 and Web 3?
Yes, but I do want to mention before that there is with Web3, their web builder. They have it where once you mint your site on the blockchain, that's the only gas fee you pay. You can edit your site without having to pay additional gas, which I think is a great technology and a great opportunity, because that's the closest thing we have to Web 2 site building technology on Web 3 is the Web 3 thing. So that was exciting to see. But yes, I was going to ask you how that whole thing was going, because that was something I found really interesting about Freename.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the email I sent you today.
Oh, with our big billboard on Times Square?
That's right.
I check my email. I'm a good student for all those watching.
I
think I responded.
I know, but I can't find it. Hold on. Okay, here we go. All right. So Web United, so Freename does a lot of things. They power a lot of technologies that are improving the internet. And one of the things they do is a company called Web United. And rather than you having to individually move, you can take your Web2 name that works on all the websites in the world, and you can give it some of these Web3 aspects, like working with Web3 dApps. And right now you have to do a lot of that yourself. And what they're working on is a way where when you register your name in Web2, that the registrar will say, hey, would you like to have this name for Web3 at the same place? So you wouldn't have to go to like a total conservative restaurant and then go to an edgy restaurant. You can get both of them in the same place. You wouldn't have to go to Nordstrom's and then go to edgy fashion. You can get the old and the new in the same place. And so one of the things that they've announced is a way, their first partnership with a domain name, with a web extension called WS. And they had a billboard on Times Square to announce it. The .ws name is now Web3 enabled. Build your ideas with Web3 with .ws on Web3. So WS
That is awesome.
Domain name. It's been around for 25 years. It kind of means website around the world. It was originally given to an island nation, Western Samoa, but they said, hey, we can make more money by doing it .ws, and the money they make goes back to the country and helps sustain some of their technology. Some other domain names that do this are .ai right now is really the probably the most popular thing happening in Web3 or in all domains is .ai. That's the Netherlands Antilles, I think. And again, they're profiting from the fact that they happen to be assigned the code AI. .tv is one, .la, which I do work for, where your domain name can say Los Angeles, with .la. So there's examples of these, and WS now is web enabled through this partnership with Web United. So for the people who aren't ready to go full Web3, they can kind of take a Web2 domain name WS, and then they can give it Web3 aspects, and that's powered by Freename. So I thought that was pretty cool to be on Times Square billboard with Web3. The .ws domain is now Web3 enabled.
And aren't the .ws domains also the emoji domains?
Well, it's funny that you say that. So yes, you can get emoji domains in .ws, and so I'm a big fan of those because they're picture domains.
They're picture domains.
They're picture domains.
They're picture domains.
So
I can get my cat that you guys all saw. I don't know. I can't see what's on my screen right now, but she hopped up here. I can get her as a domain. That's amazing. Okay, we do have a question. Can you give any feedback or insights on using Noto versus the traditional Freename browser extension?
That was a question. I just wanted to show you, show you a couple of the emoji domains here. So there you go. Can you see that, Julie?
No.
Okay. Let's see.
What are you showing me?
Emoji domain names.
I do not see them.
All right, hold on.
Unfortunately.
Maybe I didn't hit the right one. Hold on. I'm going to stop. I'm going to share screen. I'm going to share entire screen. I'm going to click that. I'm going to hit share.
Okay.
I'll go back here. All right.
Ta-da!
So there you go. These are some examples of an emoji domain. So you could own the train coming at you, the streetcar. These are the different trains, the boats. So this one right here, you can own, and this is the exact way that you would type in the domain name. You would go on your phone, and emojis are the second most popular language in the whole world. And what's important about that is the reason that's important is they're on all the smartphones in the world, meaning you don't have to take your phone and change it to speak French, change it to speak Serbian, change it to speak Japanese. It's already there. Japanese is your main language, and then you've got emoji. Chinese is your main language, then you've got emoji. So you just type in your emoji, you type in this case, the ship.ws, and you can use this as a domain name. So you can put it in links, you can put it in text, and it's really amazing how they've done this. They basically declared emojis to be another language, and there's very few of these top-level domains like WS that allow emojis, because they're kind of tricky. there's some ways that people can use them to fake you out, and so, but I think they're fun, and so I've invested.
I think they're so much fun.
Yeah, because it's your mind can process that image of that emoji faster than it can even say it. You know what I mean? And so it's like you process it and you either go to the link or you forward it to somebody, or, and you think about each emoji, and each emoji has like a functional value. Like, like even this up here, you know what I mean? And you're like, well, gee, who would want that? But besides the fact that if you happen to want to press that button on a old school video cassette player, what if all of a sudden this just represents, hey, I'm having a great day. I'm having an up day. You know what I mean? And so you start getting these connotations from the way people are using them in real life. And then that becomes what you can capture in your domain name.
There's definitely starting to become slang from emojis. That's a new thing that's just come to be a thing recently, is that you're getting whole phrases and slang terms that are actually just emojis.
So anyway, so that's what Web United announced today, or announced last week, is that they're putting the whole of .ws on Web3. And the reason that's exciting for a lot of people is they look at a Web3 domain name and they say, oh, it doesn't resolve on the internet. But if I own pagehow.ws, those letters don't change. If you type it in a browser, the Web2 domain pops up. And if you type it in a dApp that looks in your wallet for the Web3 domain, it pops up. And so it's kind of like your domain has two faces.
Yeah.
It can go either one, but it's the same name. If you yell pagehow.ws, they both come coming. You know what I mean? That's something that's a lot of traditional domain people that own their domain. And the other thing is, for companies, they may not be able to say, hey, if you're on Web2, come see us at Joe Domains is one of my companies, joedomains.com. But if you're on Web3, come see me at joedomains.metaverse.
Right.
It's kind of like, wait, what's going on here? And so this way you can just say one of them. Now, .com, it doesn't work this way yet. It's only certain TLDs, and WS is the first. All right, your question was, Noto. So More Than SEO asked about the third technology that Freename powers is Noto. And what's happening there is, inside your computer, when you buy it, you tell it to go find a website, and it's using what's called the DNS. But the DNS really hasn't been improved for 25 years. And Noto is an app, and it's probably one of maybe 40 or 50 apps. If you go to the App Store, either Apple or Google Play, and you say DNS, there's a lot of apps that improve the DNS, make it more functional, make it faster, make it more secure. And in this case, what Noto does is it lets you see Web3 domains. And in cases where it's not sure which one you want, it helps you choose. The choice is in the hands of the customer as to what they want to see. And so that was announced in Puerto Rico last week, where I was the Noto launch party. So anyway, good question. And then, are you seeing athletes, celebrities starting to buy and promote after MMA fighter Tyrone Woodley purchased .fight? Great question. So Tyrone Woodley announced that he had bought .fight. So besides, being an MMA fighter, having his different brands, his different clothing and stuff,
that's like cool.
Now he's like, I'm .fight.
That's cool.
That makes other people want to go, well, I want to be in .fight. How do I be in .fight? Well, you buy the domain name in .fight, and you can feel like I'm in Tyrone Woodley's top level domain.
Now, that'd be such a great way to do fan clubs, like Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
That'd be such a cool way to do fan clubs.
Or even just something that she's known for, like .tay or something, you know what I mean? Or .fun. Or just
.22, .swifties.
Yeah, and I think .swifties is one that someone could do. Please consult your attorney if it's trademark advice to be a Swiftie. I have no idea. It doesn't sound like it. But anyway, don't believe me. But
Dad is not lawyer. Got it.
Right. You can use it to build your own club, or if you're an artist who has a brand, you can use it for people who may not know you. It's possible that Taylor Swift doesn't have this problem, but other people may. So you associate your brand. I'll tell you, say no one knew of Barbie, but she owned .pink. You know what I mean?
Oh, that'd be
That would
fun.
be a way to have people have another way to enter into her brand based
Yeah.
upon something that they do know. You know what I mean? And
Now I'm
Julie, we
trying to
do
come up
that a
with
lot
one I want
with
for my stuff.
what's that?
Now I'm trying to come up with a fun little quirky word that I want for my
Well, no, we were
art
gonna do what were
clothing.
we gonna do? We were gonna do
Girly pop.
girly pop. There you go.
Oh, I am such a little girly pop.
Okay.
Potentially.
Well, wow, that was
that
the
day when I
fast
have
one. I'm
time.
gonna see if we skipped over wallets and digital assets too fast. If anyone has any basic questions.
We'll have to check back.
MV Watt says this bull run, everyone needs the perfect domain. I bet you he owns .private wallet. So what if you wanted to be able to be expressed to somebody when you gave them your wallet address? Because you can use a domain name. When I showed you my wallet, it had an address on it. One of the biggest use cases currently for domain names is to be a shortener for your wallet address. So let me find share screen. Okay, share screen, entire screen. I'm getting good at this.
Hey, dude, I have been able to see your screen almost 100% of the time that we've been doing these lives.
All right, now I gotta download my little extension. Hold on, we're in infinity mode here.
Yeah.
We just go on forever.
This is
all right,
terrifying.
So now you see my wallet. Okay, so this is my wallet address way up here. OX50069, a bunch of other letters, C346C. And if you wanted to send me Bitcoin, I'd have to read that off to you. Now, if you've ever tried to give someone like a password over the phone, or you've tried to do your vehicle ID number or your other number, you're like, oh, no, is it a 0? Is it a little x?
Then you get into the phonetic alphabet.
Lowercase o, 6, 9. Was that 6 or 9 or 7? You know what I mean? And so what you can do with a crypto domain name is, in this case, I'm trying to find where I can show this. So what I have is my wallet address is metaverseids.eth. And somewhere on here, it shows that. But I don't know quite where that is right now. All right, but anyway, so when you tell people that a Web3 domain name can be a substitute for your long wallet address, that's this long address here. And GoDaddy announced something last week where they have a way, and most other registrars do too, where you can take a single Web2 domain name, like I could take pagehowe.com, and I could assign it to this wallet address with a lot of strings, but you can also do it with the Web2 name. But this long wallet address is the reason that a lot of Web3 domains have gained a lot of popularity. It's just an easier way to send money to pagehowe.v than it is to remember this long thing. And if I give you this and I make a mistake or you make a mistake, the money goes poof. You know what I mean? So being able to have natural language English words that are short is really a big difference. All right, so we talked about Bitcoin going to 72,000.
We got one more question for you.
Okay, Bitcoin's an example of a digital asset. We talked about how digital assets are owned differently than real assets. You own them in a wallet. The wallet records your ownership on a blockchain, which no one owns, but everyone can see, and different what's called dApps or little programs can see. And this makes it easy for creative people out there to come up with creative uses of cryptocurrency, creative uses of Web3 domain names, build them into their apps, and have something be live tomorrow. You know what I mean? Now, I'm glad that the old internet, the ICANN internet, the public internet runs slower. It's more deliberate. There's more protection. We're talking to you right now on a Web2 domain name. Freename has a Web2 domain name, freename.io. That's still where most everything's going to be done. .com is still going to be the place that most everything is done. But at the same time, it shouldn't be the only place. And when you have a faster moving system like Web3 with wallet addresses and dApps, where people can build, innovate, and create and go to market faster, I think we're seeing a lot of good changes that'll slowly make their way into the main public internet. But we get that first early push for creators here in Web3. All right.
Where can we list BSC and Aurora Chain Web3 domains?
Esport, good question. I just saw, I'm actually not familiar with those two chains. I mean, I know that those two chains exist, but I'm not familiar with where you can list them in terms of a marketplace. So with Web3 domains, they need to be sold on a marketplace that can handle the exchange being done in a wallet. Most marketplaces are like, okay, you pay, you put your credit card, we got the domain owner here, we'll work on the transaction for 3 or 4 days, we'll let you know when it's done. You know what I mean? And so Web3 marketplaces have to be atomic, they have to be fast. So I don't know of any, but I'm sure you could Google it. I hate to not answer your question, but I just don't know of any. And then More Than SEO says for all .eth websites, you can add .limo or .link after the ETH to get the website page indexed in search engines. That's true. Are you seeing similar add-ons to the URLs for non-ETH? So what they're saying, Julie, is that .eth, so I could be pagehow.eth.
Which is the Web3 TLD.
Right, and they said we found a way to make it work in Web 2. Just type in pagehow.eth.link.
Right.
So if you had to, you could do that. And that was the same way that a company I was involved with 22 years ago did it, NewNet. I could own page.golf, and they would say just add NewNet to the end, page.golf.new.net. I think it's good because you have a fallback position for your links that you can use them on Web 2. Search engines can find your content, but it's still about your content.
Yeah.
And what I would say is if you really want to knock it out of the park in Web3, create valuable content, give people a tease for it in Web 2. And then with that tease, direct them to download the plugin and go see it in Web3, kind of like an Easter egg or a surprise or a secret club. And there's just something to that, right, Julie? Of feeling like I'm not in the world order. I'm rebel scum. You know what I mean? I'm dealing with it on the edges, you know? And so I think but yes, it is nice that some of the Web3 extensions have added this Web 2 capability. And I think that's similar to what Web United is working on, one of the Freename companies, but you won't have to add anything on the end. I'll just have pagehow.ws. It'll work in Web 2 and it'll work on Web 3.
All right. One more question, and then I think we got to wrap up for the night.
Gotcha. When you create a Web 3 website on Freename, will I pay once forever? I don't know as much about the website portion. When you buy the TLD, yes, once and you're done. You buy a domain name, pagehow.v, once and done. And if you're welcome for that. And then, but the website, that's where Julie talked about a company, 1W3, and we'll probably have them. Actually, they're going by Webhash.
Oh yeah, they rebranded.
Webhash, I think. And we'll probably have them on sometime this year.
I think that'd be great.
There's just something kind of cool about the idea of having a Web3 domain name connect to a Web3 website and just being off planet. You know what I mean?
I used to listen to their lives. I was at work, so I wasn't even able to build, but they would do like live builds where they would walk you through creating a website on 1W3. And I just listened just to listen because I thought it was really, really cool. And the guy's pretty cool.
So I'll finish with this. We do have a welcome code. If you go to freename.io and create an account, your account's free. You can see what it's like to have an account. You can create a wallet, practice that, Google MetaMask, create your wallet. The first step of your wallet is going to become called a secret phrase, where you're going to have to write down 10 or 15 words, and only you are going to know the order of those words, and that determines who owns the wallet. If you want to move it from one computer to another, you better have those words. You better write them down. I even have a little thing around here where I can etch my wallet words in with an etching pen in metal, and then keep that in case there's a fire. But anyway, remind me next week, Julie, to start off with creating a wallet. We didn't tell them how, so maybe we'll create a wallet next week.
Let's do that next week, because I
Yeah.
still have yet. I have a wallet, but I haven't connected a domain to mine. So I would make the note. Let's see. Next week we're gonna make a wallet.
Yeah.
Wallet, and we're gonna connect a domain to it. Alrighty, and then I'll ask you that later. All right, guys.
Have a great week. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Tuning in.
Really appreciate the questions.
See y'all same time next week. Unless you're in Europe, then in 3 weeks it's gonna be a different time. All right, bye.
If you're just joining now, watch the replay.
Happy daylight savings.